It started with a single raised eyebrow. Dr. Naomi Brooks stood at the check-in counter, first-class ticket in hand, her tailored navy suit catching the soft glow of the airport lights. She had built empires, led thousands, and survived storms that would VA broken most, but nothing could have prepared her for the quiet cruelty in the attendant's smirk. "Ma'am, this section is for first-class passengers only," the attendant said, glancing pointedly at Naomi's skin before turning to the next guest. "Before I tell you what happened next, tell me in the comments where you're rewatching from. I love knowing who's listening." Naomi's fingers tightened around her boarding pass. She had paid for her seat weeks ago, the first-class code printed clearly at the top, 1A. Yet, she tried to explain. The attendant's voice rose louder, sharper, drawing the attention of others in line. "Please, ma'am, step aside," holding up the line. Murmurs rippled through the queue. A businessman chuckled. A woman whispered something under her breath. And Naomi, calm, composed, yet burning inside, stepped aside, clutching her dignity like a fragile glass she refused to drop. They made her sit in economy. The flight took off, and as clouds swallowed the world outside, Naomi stared out the window, silent. Not because she was weak, but because she was tired. Tired of fighting for what she had already earned. Tired of being tested even when she had already passed every test life had thrown at her. But life, as Naomi knew too well, had a way of circling back. 30 minutes into the flight, whispers spread through the cabin. The airline's vice president was on board, unexpected, unannounced, sitting just a few rows ahead. He was known for surprise audits, and the crew began to panic quietly, fixing smiles that trembled at the edges. Naomi watched them scurry. The same attendant who had humiliated her was now nervously adjusting her scarf, pretending nothing had happened. Naomi's calm gaze followed her like a mirror she couldn't escape. Then came the announcement. "Ladies and gentlemen, please fasten your seatbelts. We're honored to have our corporate leadership team on this flight today." The vice president, a man Naomi knew very well, turned around from his seat and smiled directly at her. "Dr. Brooks," he said warmly, his voice cutting through the cabin's hum. "I wasn't expecting to see you here today." Every head turned. The air went still. The attendant's face went pale. Naomi stood slowly, the plane trembling lightly beneath her heels. "Neither was I," she replied, her tone poised and unshakable. "Apparently first class wasn't available for me." The vice president frowned. "Not available? On your airline?" That's when it hit them all. She wasn't just a passenger. She was the CEO, the highest authority in the company that owned this airline. The attendant stumbled backward, stammering apologies, her voice shaking. I didn't know, ma'am." Naomi's eyes softened, but stayed firm. "That's exactly the problem," she said. "You shouldn't have to know someone's title to treat them with respect." The vice president nodded silently. "I'll handle it immediately." But Naomi raised her hand. "No," she said, her voice carrying the weight of both command and compassion. "I will." She took a deep breath, looked around the cabin at the passengers who had watched in silence earlier, at the crew who had looked away, and then spoke with quiet authority. "In this company, respect isn't optional, it's policy. Discrimination, in any form, ends here. As of this moment, this entire crew is relieved of duty. You'll be met by replacements when we land." Gasps filled the air. The captain's voice crackled faintly through the intercom, unsure whether to speak. Naomi sat back down in her rightful first-class seat, 1A, not with triumph, but with grace. Her hands trembled slightly as she closed her eyes. The attendant's tears fell silently as she walked away, and for a brief moment, Naomi felt the sting of empathy, because she knew firing them wouldn't undo what had been done, but it would set a precedent. A reminder that silence allows cruelty to live too long. When the plane touched down, Naomi waited until the others had disembarked. She stepped out last, her heels clicking softly against the jet bridge floor, her reflection flickering in the glass beside her. The sun was rising over the tarmac, a golden light breaking through clouds, fierce and quiet, just like her. Because kindness doesn't vanish, it waits, and it finds its way back. And that morning, somewhere between injustice and sunrise, Naomi Brooks decided something important. Power means nothing unless it protects those who don't have it. So, if this story moved you, remember, dignity isn't given, it's defended. Subscribe to Cinematic Whispers for more powerful stories like this. Stories that remind us that courage, no matter how quiet, always echoes.